Ric Flair, and it was actually taped for a Coliseum home video release, filmed in October of '92. When did you guys know about this, and kind of when was the plan, and how did you guys find out?
Well, for me, it was all it was all one day. I didn't find anything out until the morning of the show. Earlier that day, I got told to fly to Saskatoon and meet Vince McMahon at I think it was 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And I had changed my airplane ticket flying from England, which was a big no-no or something at the time. So I thought I was going to get trouble. I thought I was in trouble. Chief Jay, who told me the night before that they had changed my flight, and I was on the first flight in the morning to Saskatoon, and Vince wanted to see me straight at the building straight away, and first thing in the morning. I had no idea. I really should have known or could have known, but I'd even heard something a few weeks before about they were looking to put the belt on somebody, and I never thought about it that morning. I remember kind of flying there, kind of scared that I was going to get fined or something like that. It was quite strange to actually sit outside. I sat at the end of a long hallway, and I remember when I got there, they said Vince is in there with Rick. And so I went and sat. There was only one chair, and I remember it was way, way far at the other end of the hall, and I sat down and waited for Rick to come out. And Rick came out, shook Vince's hand, and they had a good sort of goodbye or whatever, and he walked down the hall, but he went the other way, and so I never did see Rick. He went out the other way out, and then Vince looked down the hall and called me down. And like I said, I thought, and the way Vince told me was, he sort of made out like, how long I've been there, and how many belts had they put on me already, and they had done everything they could do with me, and then he just was just about my mind to tell me that it was time to let me go. I remember actually sitting there thinking that Vince was going to fire me that day for some reason, and that my dad was supposed to be flying in to be in my corner that night. And I remember going, I don't know how I'm going to explain to him that there's no, I was kind of just concerned about the whole thing. And then Vince, I remember, just looked at me and said, "So we're going to put the big belt on you tonight." And I never said a word to him. And I remember he looked at me and said, "You should at least smile or clap or something." Or I've never seen anyone with no expression. And I remember I said, "I'm just not sure whether I even believe it yet," because they'd said some of the things to me over the years that never ever happened. It was like, I still think if they'd said to me, if they'd announced to the dressing room in June that they were going to put the belt on me, and at the same time, they would have changed their mind by the time they got to that day, if they'd had more time to think about it. But it was so quick and so sudden, I always, remember it as being my favorite day in the business.
Would you call that your favorite day in the business?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest stun, shock. I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe it till it happened.
Yeah. Well, for me,
until I actually had the belt in my hand and was the champion. It was like, I couldn't believe it was going to happen, was happening. It was all too surreal for me.
Yeah, well, what happened, Brett knows this now, is I was wrestling the Ultimate Warrior on Friday night, and Charles Barkley had come to see me in Phoenix. And the Warrior suplexed me and dropped me on my head, and I had that inner ear problem. And I already was told that they were going to make Bret the champion, but it was like in a different time.
Right.
But I had that inner ear problem, and I couldn't work the next day, and then they called me and said, "You're going to drop it to Bret on Monday night." And I said, "Well, I can hardly stand up." Because I could take a bump, but I couldn't get up fast.
I see. Because
my equilibrium, in other words, if I went down flat, when I got up for about 10 seconds, I was dizzy, right? So, as a matter of fact, I thought it was something wrong with me, like I had some kind of a neurological problem, but it was an inner ear problem. So, I got there, and I'd already heard that I was going to drop it to Bret, but I wish it had been for me. I told Bret this 10 times. I wish it had been when I could work better, because I just couldn't get up. He could give me his moves, but I couldn't get up and feed fast enough.
Sure.
For whatever the occasion called for. But anyway, when it got better, as a result of it did get better. The day I was supposed to get my Lloyd's of London money, Brett, you don't know this. After 3 months, the day I was supposed to get my Lloyd's of London money, I woke up and it was fixed. I went over and hit my head against the wall 3 times. and said, what in the hell? I'm flying to Minneapolis to get the money to go, the $500,000 or whatever it is, $750, right? And everybody else got all this money over, half the guys faked the injuries, right? And I'm going to get my money, and I woke up, I hit my head against the wall 3 times. I was in Louisville, Kentucky. I said, I can't believe this. I'm fine. I called my dad. I said, Dad, I'm going to say I'm so dizzy. He said, no, you're not. It's karma. I said, yeah, I'm still right. I am. I'm dizzy. I want that damn money. I was paying $35,000 a year premium for that stuff, so that's my memory of it. But I remember, I thought we had some really good matches afterwards, but the night I gave it to him, it was no...
So you were disappointed in the match that night, though?
Oh, I couldn't pull off my end. Bret was probably so excited he didn't notice it, but I couldn't pull off my end, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I couldn't do my upside down. I thought we had a lot of fun afterwards, but I certainly could have given you a better match that night, but, it didn't matter. At some points in your life, if you're having fun with the guy you're working with, you'd rather do that than anything. And finally, this guy, Bret, technician, in great shape, cares about the business. It was fun for me. So I have fond memories of it, and I certainly don't regret the night. That's for sure.
I always had especially fond memories of just prior to winning the belt. We had such good matches in Germany. I remember we stole a show every night in Germany, left them just going crazy. When we were walking out back to the dressing room, the place was just going crazy. And,
yeah, I know. We stole.
I remember all those days. Every show I ever worked in Germany was sold out. But those ones just before I won the title were really special nights.
That was you and me, right?
Yeah, everywhere. We worked. I think every other night I worked with Papa Shango.
Yeah.
But I had really good matches with like 2 different kind of style matches. And really the fans would go to all different shows. And
yeah.
It worked out really well for me. I had really good matches with you, and I just remember you always got me over really strong, and you were always walking back to the dressing with the belt, kind of just barely like you survived a really tough match. And I just remember the German fans just clapping and cheering like they got the great world, and it was a great feeling just before I won the belt.
Well, I've told 10 people this, and Conrad knows this, but we're at SummerSlam in London, and I just knew Bret a little bit. We always got along great, but I didn't know him that well, right? And I'm there managing Henning, I think, something to do with Randy Savage, and he wrestles Davey Boy, right? And I'd never seen this, which I put it into my routine right away with guys I could trust, Bret being one of them. Bret gives Davey Boy this superplex off the top rope.
Right.
So I go back to the hotel, and I knock on Bret Hart's door. I said, if I known you could work like that, you son of a bitch, I'd be kissing your ass a long time ago. I didn't know you could work like that. Because I always saw you in tag matches. Do you remember that?
Do you remember who was with you? Macho Man was with you.
No, Macho. I go, that son of a bitch can really work. Holy shit. You and Davey Boy, and not just because it was London. I don't give a shit if someone's going to say it was Davey Boy's home country. That match, nothing followed it the rest of the night.
It was the main event.
Was it the main event?
Yeah, that was the last.
Oh, I thought the Warrior and Savage was the main event.
That was actually earlier.
I was going to say, the Warrior and Savage didn't, whatever we were. Thank God we were around before that. Jesus Christ, but that was unbelievable.
I
that's
remember
a couple
when
times.
I was in Baltimore the day after when we got back, because we had TVs or something like that. But I remember you and Macho Man watched it on closed circuit in the hotel room.
Yeah.
And you came, found me at my room. And
that's what it was. Yeah, okay.
Shook my hand, both of you, and said that was the greatest match you ever watched. And you both wanted to come shake my hand for putting on such a good match.
It was unreal. I guess it was. I was trying to think. We were having a pretty good party at the Holiday Inn after SummerSlam, so I probably was following. You had to get a draw from Arnie to get out of the place. As Bret can vouch for. I didn't miss anything in the nightlife over there. Can you imagine taking a crew to London for 7 days now for a show?
Yeah.
We lost Mike Hagstrand on that tour, and what was the other kid's name from Minneapolis? John Nord. John and Mike Hagstrand just departed the company voluntarily. Didn't come home.
They quit completely and just stayed there for about 3 months.
I know. The Road Warriors were no more. I saw Joe, and I told Joe that's one of the greatest stories. I said, where's Mike? And he just got in his motorcycle and kept riding. What are you going to say about that? Oh God, I left there. My credit card has bounced a lot of times over the years, but not as high as it bounced in the lobby that Holiday Inn when I was leaving. I called Arnold Skoll and I said, Arnie, I need a draw, man, now, major. And could I have 500 more to get home on? Who's got a $3,000 bar tab in 1991?
Ric Flair.
Yeah, I know.
That's it.
I'm done.